Just testing. People can hear us.
It's 2 o'clock and time for What Does This Button Do? Episode number 72, Geeks on Tour. It's an educational show about smartphones and tablets with Geeks on Tour. That sound that you hear in the background is a little bit of sound. I might even, well, I don't know if I can unmute. Anyway, we are old dogs learning new tricks. That's us. And so where are we now, Chris?
We are in our home base, the townhouse in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we will get on the road tomorrow. Back on the road.
On the road. For how long?
6 weeks, and then we'll be back here.
Okay, very cool. Hi, I'm Jim, here together with my wife, Chris. We are Geeks on Tour. Do you think your smartphone is smarter than you? And do you have questions about your Android phone or your iPad tablet? And how do you learn about these amazing devices?
Well, we are geeks who teach, and we believe the best way to learn is in bite-sized pieces on a regular basis. So we try to do this show every week, come up with a different topic, and learn. Our website is geeksontour.com, and we have a bunch of prepared videos there, plus a forum where you can ask us questions.
All right. So today's show, we're going to have a tip of the day, turning your smartphone into a hotspot. That's helpful for a lot of people. And then we'll have our beginner's lesson. Chris is going to be talking, Chris and Cherie of Technomads.
We have two Chris's on the show today.
It's going to confuse me all day. So, Chris Dumpy and Cherie Viard from RVMobileInternet.com and Technomadia and how to connect to the internet while traveling. And they have the app of the day called Coverage. It's something that they built themselves, and it is really, really handy if you're a traveler especially. If you have questions, please ask them here in the comments. If you're on the Google Plus event page, you can leave comments, and we'll try to get answers to you during the show here live. The show is recorded on YouTube at our Geeks on Tour channel, and you can always find the links there at geeksontour.com/weekly show.
So who are Geeks on Tour? Just in case this is the first time you're tuning in, we like to mention our website, geeksontour.com, and if you go there, scroll down a little bit, you'll see our talking heads, and you can watch an introductory video. So before we start talking with our guests, I want to demonstrate something that I know we will be talking about, and that is how to turn your phone into a mobile hotspot. So first, I'm going to use the iPhone. And it's incredibly easy. All you do is go into Settings and Personal Hotspot and turn it on. Now, you should have configured it at some point in time, so we have a password on this, and we have a name. It's called Jim's iPhone. But that's it. That's all you have to do. Now I want to show you on an Android, and this one happens to be a Samsung Note 3. It also happens to have an unlimited Verizon plan. So what you do is you go into Settings, and it's a network setting, but it doesn't show up right away. That means you tap More Networks. And then it's Mobile Hotspot. And you turn it on. Now, it will work if you have a plan that allows it. If you have a plan that allows it, then you're done. It's on. This plan, as I said, is an unlimited, grandfathered in, old Verizon plan, and it's saying that we can't use it without calling Verizon and paying an extra fee. Therefore, what we do is use a third-party app called Foxfi and activate Wi-Fi hotspot. And Foxfi is going to set up a VPN. I have to say okay. But it still has to go and turn on that system settings. So I go to settings and now turn this on, and hopefully it'll work.
It always does.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a few tries, and it's doing it again this time. So far, I've always gotten it to work. I might have to reboot and go through this, and I'm not going to take the time to reboot, so I want to show you another phone. This one is another Android phone, but it's on a different plan. It's also not a Samsung, so the settings look a little bit different. This is a, what is this? This is your phone.
That's a Nexus 6.
A Nexus 6 on the
It's a Google phone.
On the Project Fi. It's a Google phone. It still has settings that are pretty much the same, and network would be under networks and more, and this one is called Tethering and Portable Hotspot. And you turn it on. And this one's plan allows it, so there's nothing more to do. It just turns on. So now, how do you use it? Back over to here. So we should now have 2 hotspots that are part of the phone. And first, let me tell you, if you're a Geeks On Tour member, we have all this in our prepared videos on our website. It's video number 412, and there are the instructions. Now, where do you connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot on a computer? Down in the lower right, and Wi-Fi. And we should see there is the Geek Nexus AP that we could use, or there is Jim's iPhone. And I might still restart the Samsung and see if I can get Foxfi to cooperate, but not right now.
You can give it to me. If I touch it, it's kind of magic, and it'll work better
it's
if
true.
I touch it.
It's true, but
and the phone too.
But let's go back and talk to our guests now. We are just really excited to have Chris and Cherie from RV Mobile Internet.
And you guys, I have muted you, so you need to unmute yourself if you can. Do you know how to do that?
Oh.
There we go.
We are unmuted. There we are.
Yay. Okay.
Hi, guys.
Well, thank you.
Hey.
Thank you for having us as your guest today. We really appreciate being here.
Well, I'm really glad that you could make it. I know that you are not in the best of internet areas right there, so tell them where you are right now.
We're in a park in
Fort Davis, Texas. So we're actually staying over at the Davis Mountain State Park, which is, we went there specifically because there's bad cellular signal, because we're testing antennas and boosters, so we wanted a place where we could show a measurable difference. Unfortunately, that means there's not enough bandwidth there to do video.
Well, to do video uploading. So downloading, we're able to actually stream with our boosters where we're camped, but upload, so nobody would be able to see us, we'd be able to see you if we were trying to do this from the campground. The upload speeds there are very slow.
So we're in town at Fort Davis, where there's phenomenal LTE signal on both Verizon and AT&T. So we're able to sit here. We're on the courthouse steps behind us. So, you know, on a nice Sunday afternoon under a tree.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Most all of our RV viewers, I'm sure, already know who you are. But for those folks who don't, Chris, on the right there, is Chris.
Male Chris.
Dunphy, right, the other Chris. And you've been in technology for a long time. The last job you had before going RVing was really cool. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I used to work at Palm and Palm Source, so they made the Treo smartphones and some of the first smartphone stuff there, and I was the director of competitive analysis, or otherwise known as their chief spy. So I'd travel the world trying to find all the interesting mobile gadgets and tech that were going to be coming out in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, and figure out what they were going to be way in advance of anybody else knowing about them. So that was a pretty fun job.
I'll bet. And how many phones did you have to get through airport security?
I think on some trips I would be carrying 15 phones and 4 laptops and a whole bunch of other prototype devices, and it made going through X-rays a lot of fun.
And Cherie, you've been in high tech forever too. What did you do before going RVing?
Yeah,
or even after?
Even after, I kind of was able to take my job on the road when I met Chris. So Chris hit the road solo in 2006.
10 years now.
Yeah, 10 years in a month. And then we met shortly thereafter online. But I ran a software development business from my home and was already working remotely for my clients. So as long as I had internet, and I was doing a lot of personal travel anyway and working remotely from wherever I was at. So me switching my home-based office to be his trailer wasn't that big of a deal, as long as we were able to secure mobile internet. And so that was our challenge then, was getting enough bandwidth on the road for me to work remotely.
Okay, and now you guys are most known for the book, the Mobile Internet Handbook, and this thing is a Bible. And it gets bigger every 243 pages. And we're going to cover this topic in 40 minutes. Right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it started off as a handbook, and now we're on the 4th edition. Just came out basically today.
Yesterday. Well, yesterday.
Yeah.
We launched it officially yesterday. So.
Okay.
Well, congratulations. I think it's great.
We know that that's a lot of work. And how can people get it?
Go to rvmobileinternet.com/book. And you can pick it up there. We do have it on sale this week as a special launch special of $8.99 for any of the ebook editions.
And then it's also on Amazon and iBooks as well. The links are from our site too.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll put links in our show notes for all that stuff too.
Awesome.
All right. So tell us a little bit more about what you are doing there at Fort Davis. What kind of equipment are you testing, and for what chapter in the book?
So the wireless enhancing signal chapter is, and the antenna selection chapter, the two chapters that we're right now doing a lot of field testing on. At the end of last year, we took every mobile booster that is on the market out.
This is a cell phone
booster. So this will boost the signal on. This is the Sleek, and then this is one of the WeBoost ones. But we took probably 5 different boosters on the road. We went to 16 different stops last year, and we tested the boosters themselves to find out which one was best. And this round of testing is where all the boosters come with this little short, stubby magnetic antenna.
Small little antennas designed to go on the roof of a car. So now we're testing out some bigger, kind of upgraded antennas and trying to find out, are any of these bigger antennas actually worth the effort and expense when paired with a booster or plugged directly into a hotspot that has external antenna ports. So now we're doing a round of antenna testing.
So we'll test here, and then we'll find a couple other locations. We're on a cross-country trip right now to Florida ourselves, and so we'll be picking out some other locations with reported bad cellular signal and seeing what we can do with these antennas.
Wow. So we look forward to seeing all those reports and maybe take advantage of it for when we're on the road and need the cellular. So those antennas are specifically for cellular access, right?
Right.
Yes.
So let's back up a little bit. And if you could give a little overview of the 3 main ways that there are to connect while you're on the road.
Okay, so we talked about cellular a little bit here already. And then these are your phone, or this is a Wi-Fi hotspot that takes cellular and makes a Wi-Fi hotspot out of the cellular signal. They're very, very useful devices. There's connecting to Wi-Fi that you can find at campgrounds, or a lot of shops and stuff have free or sometimes paid Wi-Fi networks. And then the third option, which is not appropriate for most people, but for some it is
the only
absolutely essential, is using satellite. So the satellite you can get online places where there is no Wi-Fi and there is no cell signal. But it's a lot of expensive gear, and it comes with a lot of limitations. So for most people, satellite is usually overkill.
Most travelers tend to stick with cellular and or using public Wi-Fi hotspots. Those are the 2 primary ways most of us stay online.
Is there any way you can shield your microphone maybe a little bit from the wind? There's just a little bit of blowing on it. So I think of Wi-Fi for people that they're just going on a 1-week vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that there's going to be Wi-Fi everywhere. How reasonable are their expectations?
Well, everybody thinks of the kind of Wi-Fi they're going to find is going to be the same they have at home, where they can sit down and watch Netflix, and the surfing's going to be fast. And they get out there, and a lot of campground Wi-Fi is slow, and without special gear, you can really only pick it up right from like the first spot or two in the front of the campground office. And if you're anywhere else in the RV park, you are frustrated and disconnected and upset.
Right. And what are the difficulties with public Wi-Fi hotspots, whether it's at a campground, a hotel, or you're going to a cafe like Panera or McDonald's or something like that, is they are a public shared resource. So there's a bunch of people sometimes trying to use the same type of connection you might have at home. And so if you've got, you know, only so much, you've got like a garden hose of bandwidth coming through, and you're trying to split that between like 200 people at a campground, well, that's usually only enough bandwidth to maybe check email, do some surfing, maybe route to your next stop. It's not going to be enough to do a video chat like this. Sometimes you get lucky and you find it, but more often than not, it's better to have your expectations at email and basic web surfing.
I think that's a perfect
expectations, and you write that several times.
Yes. You know, and in an RV park with Wi-Fi, what I've experienced is everything will be working fine, and then some big bus will pull in next to you, and that'll just blow the whole thing away. And
right, it blocks the signal.
Yeah, wireless signals, in particular Wi-Fi signals, are very line of sight. So if you can see the hotspot, you have a reasonable chance of being able to connect to it. But if, as you say, something pulls in between you, or if you're further away and there's a lot of ground clutter and other stuff between you and the hotspot, it can make it almost impossible to connect. So that's why one of the best things you can do for improving your connection is getting your antennas up on the roof. It's getting altitude.
Great.
The other question that we get all the time about Wi-Fi is it safe to use public Wi-Fi? Usually they ask it in context of doing their banking.
Right. So most secure websites where you're doing things that are like banking, credit cards, anything that has personally sensitive information, they use a protocol called HTTPS. So when you are connecting to that website, if there's an S at the end of the HTTP, that means it's a secure connection. And that's about as secure as, I mean, unless you're the NSA trying to break in, you're just as safe there as you are on a closed network.
The big thing, so a lot of smaller sites don't have that security. Facebook and Google and every bank will have that. You'll see the little padlock up on your browser, and you'll see the S on the URL. But the hackers who are watching you, they can tell where you're surfing to. They can say you're going to a bank. They can't see your password. They can't see anything you're doing to your bank. But if then after you've been to your bank, you go to Joe Bob's RV forum and you log in with the same username and password on the RV forum, the hacker's going to put two and two together, and they're saying maybe that username and password is what they use on the bank too.
So the safest thing you can do is do not ever use the same username and password combination for any login site. That way, even if someone does sniff out what your username and password is to get like on the escapees forums to go post there, then they're not able to go and try those passwords on other places where they might think you're going to.
Excellent. Agree completely. And that's why, by the way, we love reading your stuff, because we agree with you. I don't think there's been anything you said that I haven't agreed with.
Okay, here's one. About using public Wi-Fi as security, just as we said. They use a paid VPN whenever they're not at home. Do you think that's worthwhile?
It can be for a lot of people. It adds an extra step of complexity, and it will slow your connection down a little bit. But when you're using a VPN service like this, you just basically flip on a switch. Once you've installed it on your computer, you flip on a switch, and the connection between your computer is completely secure all the way until it comes out at the VPN service's computer. So if you trust your VPN service, then you can really improve your security if you don't trust where you're at.
Right, and it's really particularly important for those that are working remotely, especially when they're dealing with medical records, people's financial information, or things like that. It's really important for people that are dealing with other people's secure information to protect that. So a lot of remote workers are required to have those VPN connections.
But those remote workers, the VPN is usually provided.
Yeah. A lot of companies actually have their own corporate VPNs that they can connect you to. And then, but for just an individual, there's a whole bunch of services out there ranging from super simple, it's intended for non-geeks, you just install, we've got a list of several of them in the book, but you just install the VPN software, it's an on-off switch, or then there's more advanced ones that let you do things like change what country you appear to be from, so you can if you want to connect to the BBC and watch BBC TV shows, you can connect to a VPN server in the UK and do that. Or if you're overseas, you can still watch your US Netflix and things like that. So there's more advanced VPN services too if you want to play with that.
But doesn't it slow you down too?
Yes.
I mean, it really is
extra hop.
overkill for most people.
It
Right.
is.
For the casual browser, you don't really need to worry about it too much with banking and things like that. I mean, if you're managing $1 million investments, you probably do want to.
Yeah.
But for most casual browsing, the VPN is too much of a step. It's too much, probably extra effort, and it's not really going to buy you all that extra security. That's one of the hassles.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've beat that horse to death.
Okay. And we did
But
talk
good
about.
stuff.
So you do have a couple of Wi-Fi antennas to,
Yes.
as show and tell there, right?
I have one with me, yeah. So this is the Pep Wave Surf on the Go. This is probably one of the, it's the easiest one. It's only like $100. But what this does, this antenna here is a Wi-Fi antenna that can pick up a Wi-Fi hotspot more strongly than the one that's maybe built into your tablet or laptop. And you can put this like in a window of your RV or office, or take it to a hotel or wherever you're going, and this can pick it up probably further away than a laptop alone. And then what it also has, and it rebroadcasts its own Wi-Fi network.
It's a private hotspot for you.
So that your devices can get on and reutilize that other Wi-Fi hotspot that they can't reach on their own. And that's a feature called Wi-Fi as WAN. WAN stands for Wide Area Network, other words known as the Internet. And, so this is basically a rebroadcasting a Wi-Fi hotspot. And the other feature that it has built in is this is a USB modem from Verizon. Is it can plug right into there, and you can then pick between your own cellular connection or the Wi-Fi, and pick which one is the best that you want to use for whatever you're doing at that time.
And now, taking this kind of up a notch, a lot of RVers have heard of Wi-Fi Ranger. They're an RV-focused company that does long-range Wi-Fi gear that is similar to this, but more powerful and designed to be mounted outdoor on the roof of your RV. So you get the altitude, you get above the rig, the bus that pulls the next to you, and it's got a radio that can talk a lot further than something you'd set in the inside window of your rig.
Right. So where we're parked right now at our campground, we're probably about 500 yards away from the interpretive center where they have a Wi-Fi hotspot, and we're able to use the campground's Wi-Fi from our RV using our Wi-Fi Ranger antenna.
Which is on the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, we have the Wi-Fi Ranger also, and we've been very happy with the way it works. So.
Yep.
Okay, so that's Wi-Fi, meaning you're depending on being within range of a Wi-Fi hotspot.
And whatever it's connected to.
Now, the main thing that people use is cellular, so let's just deal with satellite just for a minute, because it doesn't apply to very many people. We had in fact, when we were at Fort Davis, it was 2004, and satellite dish was the only way to go. We had one of the automatic data storms on the roof.
Nice, yes.
But that went in the trash 4 years
in the
ago.
Dumpster. When it needed some repairs, and I wasn't willing to spend the money that it required for the repairs, and cellular by that time was good enough. And it's only getting better.
So I know there's probably a couple new things in the Horizon satellite. You want to tell us, is there a viable satellite now?
In the past year, there 2 new options came out for RV satellite connections. One of them is a new, kind of like the Motosat you had, a new roof-mounted robotic dish. It's a $6,000 dish that then has plans that you can pay per gigabyte and pay as you need for data. So whenever you happen to be someplace with no cellular, you can just press a button and get online and
use it as you need it. So it's not unlike the old HughesNet things, because we used to
contract.
We had a contract, and you had so much data allowance on a daily basis. This one is okay. I am here, like let's say we're at Fort Davis and couldn't get cellular to work. If we had this, we'd be able to say we just want to buy 10 gigabytes of data to get us through the week, and we could do that. And
now, is that available on a tripod dish?
No, that one is only right now on a roof-mounted. It's a huge dish. So the downside to that is a lot of us now that like these more remote locations, we're usually boondocking, and we like solar on our roof to keep us going, and that would take away a lot of the space on the roof.
Yeah, plus shade whatever you have up there, too.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there was another new option that came out last year that is a new tripod setup. that is actually using HughesNet's newer generation satellites that you can put together components of the tripod, and you have to spend about an hour each time you set it up to aim with the tripod, because it's a lot harder to aim than satellite TV. But now there's one company that is offering a new tripod plan that you can take on the road still.
And that one does require a contract. It's about $1,000 up front to get the equipment to get started with that one. But that is an option for those that are going places where there is no cellular or Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Okay, enough about satellite.
Okay.
The way most people get on, because it works and it's great, is cellular. So what do we mean by cellular?
So cellular is, you've got 4 primary carriers in the U.S. You've got Verizon, you've got AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile. And what all of these carriers have is they have towers that are set up, and it's a longer range Wi-Fi network. Or not Wi-Fi, wireless network.
It uses all the cellular companies now use the same standard called LTE, which is long-term evolution. That's what their 4G technology is called. But they all have different frequency bands. So one phone from one carrier that will not necessarily work on another carrier if you swap SIMs around. It all depends on the carrier and the frequency supported.
But this is a longer range, so you buy a data plan with the carrier or carriers, is what we recommend for those who depend on mobile internet. You buy a data plan with the carriers that you want to have connectivity with. And by and far, Verizon has the largest coverage map of all of the major carriers. AT&T is
reasonably close second.
T-Mobile's coming up in 3rd place, but there's quite a gap, and then Sprint is kind of in 4th place.
Yeah, and T-Mobile has doubled their coverage in the past year. They've been growing faster than all the other carriers, but only the newest phones that support what's called LTE Band 12, or T-Mobile calls it Extended Range LTE, support T-Mobile's new coverage.
You're probably getting a little too geeky.
So the thing is, if you have an older T-Mobile phone, you're not going to get any of the new coverage they have. You're going to have to upgrade your devices to get the new coverage.
Huh. I didn't know that. So if you go into a Verizon store and say, I want to be able to get online on the road, they will sell you a jetpack.
So
is
this
it really best to get that, or is it okay to use your phone as a hotspot like I demonstrated?
So yeah, you can do either way with it. The advantage, if you're going to be just an occasional browser, using your phone as a hotspot works great. There are some downsides with it. For instance, if I am using this as my mobile hotspot, which I am right now to do this broadcast, what if I walked away and he was still using that hotspot to try to get online? Well, then he gets taken offline and has to find another way online.
You took my internet.
I hate it when my internet goes to the grocery
Exactly.
store without me.
The other thing that a lot of RVers now have remote monitoring. So they might have security cameras that they want to be able to access that's in their RV. They might have things that are monitoring the temperature to keep pets safe, maybe be able to remote start a generator or anything like that. Well, you need an internet connection left in the RV when you're away. So we prefer using a mobile hotspot as our primary internet means. So we have our data plan on this, and this can just sit in a cabinet in our RV most of the time, right next to our booster that's coming into it, so it's getting the best signal it can. And then we're not having to worry about who's walking away. We can always remote into the RV. We can check on things that we have set up to check in on when we're away from the RV.
Now, I never figured that we had that option because we have unlimited plan on our phone. So we use the phones as the Wi-Fi hotspot. But you say we could take the SIM card out of the phone and put into a hotspot device?
That's one of the best things about the Verizon Unlimited plans is you can actually take those plans and do anything you want with them, and it's still within Verizon's rules.
Not anything.
Well, okay.
You can't BitTorrent. You can't do illegal activities. No, but the way that Verizon won their LTE spectrum back in 2008 at auction, the terms they had to agree to was called open access, and that doesn't give them as much flexibility as the other carriers to implement network optimization. So they can't throttle your speeds. They can't tell you can't use it for a mobile hotspot. So they currently do allow you to just swap the SIM from your phone into a jetpack and utilize your data plan that way. And that's how a lot of us who are relying on the Verizon Unlimited plans do it.
And then you could have like 5 computers sharing that unlimited plan a lot easier than using Foxfi and stuff like that to jump through the hoops to make it work on the phone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But as I did mention, this is a very old hotspot. I mean, we
Right.
turned it off probably 4 years ago, and we just hold on to it for show and tell.
Yes.
Would it still work?
It would work, but that one is not going to have the newest frequency bands. Verizon has been rolling out what they call XLTE in the last 2 years.
Think of it as carpool lanes. They're adding new lanes to their cellular highways, and if you don't have a device that supports the carpool lanes, Verizon's regular lanes are actually very overcrowded in a lot of places. But if you have a newer device, you're just zipping along in XLTE, and sometimes you can get speeds faster than you can get at a cable modem at home.
And it gives you more options and more frequencies to get on. So this is Verizon's newest one, the AC791L that they just released in September. And it in the 6620 and the MHA291, some people might know that as the Millennicom hotspot if they were there in that phase. Those three right now support the XLTE, and those are our top 3 recommendations for those that want the best hotspot.
Right. One thing that I always like to stress for folks is these are radios. You know, they're two-way radios, and the technology is pretty amazing, but it's pretty much the same thing as a walkie-talkie, different frequencies.
Yep.
Yeah, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it's very easy for those frequencies to get bounced around.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so talk a little bit about the difference between signal bars versus speed results. I mean, just because you have 5 bars doesn't necessarily mean.
Or dots now, as
dots.
So that is the device's interpretation of what the signal is. So Chris and I each have iPhone 6s. We're both on AT&T. So we can pretty much say that if we're getting 2 dots, that means the same thing to us. But if we were sitting together in the same lawn, your phone might register 3 bars, mine's registering 2. It really doesn't really equate to how strong or good the signal is.
And that's also just the basic measure of the signal strength. But for people who are interested in internet, they're much more interested in is how fast is it. So there's apps, the speedtest.net website, and there's also the speedtest.net app for Android and iPhone, and there's other speed tests out there. Is just run the speed test and see, am I getting a fast enough connection? Because the radios and LTE devices can do amazing things. Sometimes even with a 1-bar signal, you might be getting 10 megabits of speed.
Wow.
Yeah, we were blown away once. We were in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and we could not get more than 1 bar. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, kicks.
Not bad for cellular.
What speed did you just get?
No.
21.
And we've even seen, I know, and you have too, seen better than that.
We've seen 100.
We've seen up to 80 and 100 on Verizon.
Yep.
Okay, someone asks, is really interested in the SIM card in a jetpack.
And can we learn? I know where they can learn more.
I know where they can learn more.
We're not using this one right now, right?
No, we're not on
internet. Okay.
So here's a Verizon jetpack, and the SIM cards are usually hidden on phones and jetpacks, either behind the battery or there's a little slot in the side that you can eject. So here, this one is behind the battery. And pull the battery out, and then you see that little spot there.
Yep.
There's the SIM card in that little slide cradle there, and you just push it out with your fingernail, and then
so
here is the
what
SIM
these
card.
cards are. It stands for Subscriber Identity
Module.
So this is basically your phone number is tied to this.
So this is what the tower is talking to authorize you on their network. And
that's how it tells who you are.
And so it identifies your phone number, and also then it looks up in their computer system as to what data plan that you have. And so wherever you have that SIM card inserted to, whether it's a phone or a mobile hotspot, that's what tells the carrier what device you're using. And they are different size. There are different size SIM cards, and you may find that your phone uses a larger one than your jetpack does. And there are adapter kits that you can get to cut them down or increase their size. And they can be sized between.
We ran into that in Europe last year. We decided to take our Verizon phone, but buy a SIM card from a UK company and put it into both the phone and the iPad, and they were all different sizes, but we got them to work.
Wow.
Yeah, getting wind sounds.
Yeah, it's picking up out here.
It is? Okay.
West Texas wind.
West Texas wind, oh yeah. So talk to us about the options. I think there's new options now for people who travel both in Canada and the U.S. and Mexico.
This is where T-Mobile becomes the gold standard. But T-Mobile, when you're over in the U.S., they're in third place for coverage. But when you cross into Canada and Mexico, they have deals with all the carriers, particularly in Canada, so that as long as you can detect anybody's coverage, you get full speed, unlimited. Well, you get your T-Mobile plan carries all through North America at full speed.
They basically are considering Canada and Mexico to be domestic now. They call it mobile without borders. So you can use your T-Mobile plan just as if you are in the U.S. The only exception to that is you do not get their new free unlimited video streaming service.
The binge on feature doesn't work.
While in Canada or Mexico. But you do get, so if you've got a 14 gigabyte data plan with them, you get 14 gigabytes of high speed in Canada or Mexico.
And Europe. We used T-Mobile.
The Europe thing is a little bit different. Europe is a slower speed data, but you still get unlimited text and data and a 10-cent amount, I think, phone call.
Yeah.
Right. So around the world with their international partners outside, besides Canada and Mexico, you get low speed, unlimited data, which is pretty cool. If you're sometimes that's just enough.
Yeah, it worked for us when we were over in the UK and in France and in Belgium.
Yep.
We use Google Navigation.
T-Mobile. That's why I bought my iPhone.
T-Mobile for travelers is awesome.
And then Verizon also rolled out a competitor to it, and basically now you can use your plan as if it's local, as if it's domestic, for $2 a day in Canada and Mexico, or $10 a day in their other partnered countries. However, that does not apply to those grandfathered unlimited data plans, so because those never had an international. But if you have a modern Verizon plan, you do have flexibility to go international. That's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Okay, people have been asking this for years. How do we get online on the road? You know, that is now the second most prevalent question. The first is, how do I not use so much data?
Yes. Well, the first thing is you can avoid that question entirely because you can actually still get those Verizon Unlimited plans. So it takes a lot of stress away.
If you're going to be traveling longer term and you don't want to worry about data caps, getting one of the unlimited Verizon plans is a fabulous way to go. And we do have a full guide to that on the RV Mobile Internet site.
You got to jump through hoops. The Verizon store won't give it to you.
You have to jump through hoops, and you kind of have to go shopping for them, but you can still get them. But if you're going with a capped data plan, so you might go to Verizon and get what they call their extra large 18 gigabyte per month plan, which you find for most people these days is not enough to get through an entire month if you're relying on it as your internet connection. You're going to have to do things. You want to make sure that you turn off all automatic updates on all of your devices so that they're not automatically updating apps and OS.
And in Windows 10,
pictures. You want to turn off all syncing to Dropbox, to the cloud, to Google Photos.
Google Photos.
Yes, and everything else that automatically syncs.
And then turn off autoplay videos that Facebook and Twitter now have, where they're constantly playing little videos as you scroll past them. That's using an amazing amount of data. So they have options that you could say, don't play that video unless I specifically click on it, and turn those things off. You got to kind of put yourself on a big data diet, is what we call it.
But I find that people are just so overstressed about their data. I mean, there was a day that you could mistakenly get a bill for $10,000.
Right.
Yes.
But now it's $10 a gigabyte, basically.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And you can now, the carriers give you tools to monitor how much data you're using. So if you stay on top of it, and like with Verizon and AT&T, let's say you have an 18 gigabyte plan, and you find you're halfway through the month, you're already at that cap, and you need more, you can just go online and change your plan. You can go up to like their 30 gigabyte plan.
Just for 1 month.
Just for that 1 month. And they'll even backdate it if you do it before your billing date, so that you don't have the overage charges. So there's ways to manage it and scale and keep flexible up and down.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about every tiny thing that you do. Just get a notice when you're getting close and then deal with it. Tell us about Binge On.
So Binge On is a new thing from T-Mobile. It's really exciting where T-Mobile has decided to make video streaming not count against your high-speed data. So T-Mobile's plans come with a certain amount of data, and things in the past, music never counted, streaming music, and now they've added video from 44 different sites, and they're adding more all the time.
And those sites include Netflix, Hulu, HBO Now, ESPN, and a lot of the ones that those of us want. It does not
include YouTube.
That is
Google does not like Binge On.
I wonder why that is.
But what it is you are getting, when you have Binge On turned on, is they're using a data compression technique that brings down the video to DVD quality, which is 480 pixels. So it's not going to be high def, but it's enough to enjoy it on. You can mirror it to a TV screen, or you can watch it on your tablet or your phone, and it's enough. I mean, it's
for a lot of shows you don't need a super high def, and it's free. So you still have to pay for your HBO subscription and stuff, but you're not using up any data when you're watching HBO, which makes it on the road another great reason to have T-Mobile. We generally think T-Mobile is the perfect complement to. You have Verizon for your maximum coverage, and then you have T-Mobile for all the extra bonus features. Works out as
Excellent.
And then we use AT&T when Verizon isn't good enough.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Okay, well, I think our audience can obviously tell that you guys know so much about this, but not only are they knowledgeable about all the details, but they actually are skilled too. They write apps, and we want to show you this one app called Coverage, because it is how you find out where the best coverage is. And yeah, you want to tell them a word about it while I cue it up?
Sure. So we had the idea for this app. We had just paid for a campsite in Colorado and prepaid like 3 days, intending to get some work done. And then we verified that we had good signal, but what happened is we found out that we were actually roaming.
And then we got a little text message on both our phone and both of our devices saying, you've exceeded your roaming limits for the month and you are now cut off. And we're like, we're at this paid for campsite with no data at all. We're like, we wish there was a way that we could have known we were roaming in advance.
So what we do is we take the carrier's claimed coverage maps, and we do our own interpretation on them, and we put them on device, so they get downloaded to your iPhone or iPad.
So you don't need to have signal to check your coverage.
So we use it when we're routing or picking out a campground that we're going to next, to make sure that we at least know that there's the hope of getting signal.
There's signal
there
in the area at the very least.
Or if there's not signal in the area, then we know which direction we need to drive. Like once our engine overheated and we broke down where we had no cell coverage, but that let us know which direction to head in our Mini Cooper, the car that we tow behind our motorhome.
There was signal 20 miles in one direction and 40 miles in the other, so we knew which way. Go the 20-mile direction to go find a signal.
Yeah. Okay, well, I just want to show it to them.
Okay.
We have it on the iPad, and there's the icon. And you can just say, show me AT&T coverage.
And then you can pick down at the bottom whether you want to see just LTE, 4G, 3G, or roaming. So you can kind of dial.
So if we're not feeling like roughing it when we're camping, we only want 4G and above, we just only look at the 4G coverage maps to make sure we're going to get high-speed data where we want to go. And then you can zoom in to regionally and kind of pick out where your campgrounds are. You can search and just kind of look what your route's going to be.
Find Fort Davis.
So out in the west area, further west.
Further west.
Right above Big Bend is where we're at.
It's still a little bit further west.
More west.
A little bit further west.
I'm not sure what
there you go.
Yeah.
So you see the green spots down there?
That's kind of down in that zone there. A lot of big gaps in coverage in this area.
We're a little more north of there.
This is the West Texas is a very challenging area for coverage, as you see. You got to kind of know where to go hunting for it.
And there's probably no Sprint.
Yes, Sprint and T-Mobile are very lacking here. Actually, AT&T is ahead of Verizon in Texas. It's one of the places where AT&T was first and has more towers. But we like that you can combine. You can make your own personal coverage map by putting both Verizon and AT&T on at the same time and see if you can carry both where to go.
Very cool. It's come in handy a few times for us too. So
So the app creating apps is a side hobby for us, and it's purely selfish. I mean, we made this app because we use it.
And unfortunately, that is partially why we have not had a chance to make an Android version of this, because there's just so much work involved that we have not done Android for that app. Our other apps we've done on Android, but we haven't.
This one we have to basically rewrite it on Apple to be able to rewrite it on Android right now.
Yeah,
so we
it's
a side hobby, and RV Mobile Internet right now is taking up so much of our time, keeping the book updated. The other things that we do on the website at RV Mobile Internet is we do track the news. So if new products come out, we hear of good promotions or things like that. We're constantly tracking the news there and analyzing it specifically for how it impacts RVers. And then we also host we call it
forums,
Mobile Internet Aficionados is our premium component of the website, where we have member forums. We have more in-depth guides on all of our reviews that we do. All go there to our members first. So when we we share our testing that we're doing with the antennas that we talked about earlier. All of that information is being shared with our members first.
Yes, and we enjoy being a member. People are always quite impressed with how we know things right away. And it's because of you. You also host a Facebook group.
Yes, we do have. So we have the free one is RV Internet. It's also Internet for RVers if you search for it on Facebook, and that is, we call that the open discussion area to go along with the book and the website. And so we cross-post any news stuff that we are putting up on the website, and we'll take some general questions there. We can't unfortunately we have almost 10,000 members here, so we unfortunately don't have that much time to field in-depth questions there. But we try to help out, and members help each other out there as well. And then we also do host, a lot of, in the member forums, we can go a lot more in depth with our members.
Yeah. And we do have a coupon code if any of your people want to become members as well.
So
yes, a coupon code.
So yeah, we set one up for Geeks on Tour viewers. It's Geeks on Tour, MIA, all one word, and that'll save you $5 off an annual membership with the MIA if you want.
Okay, cool. We will promote
that posted, and that'll be out there.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for joining us. I think our time is about up. We always end with review questions. So let's see what we got here. Were there any other comments? Any other?
Well, Jolin says only Apple for coverage, and yes, I think we answered that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, coverage is only Apple for right now.
And I doubt that she'll get it because she's a Google person. Okay, you ready? Let's do. Did you learn something? So review questions. True or false? If you buy the right equipment and know how to use it, you can get online anywhere.
What do you think, guys?
Almost anywhere.
It's got a lot better than it used to be, but yeah,
there's still always challenges.
And even if you buy the expensive satellite stuff, you're still going to have challenges.
You might be parking under trees. Yes, a tree will block your satellite.
Trees can't get on with satellite. So manage your expectations. That's what you say so much that I so agree with.
Yep.
Which cellular carrier is generally accepted to have the best nationwide coverage today?
I'd be Verizon is the one to go for the ultimate in coverage at the moment.
Yes, if you're going to pick one network, we say go Verizon.
Yep.
We agree.
We agree.
Yep.
All right. If you have a smartphone, you can share its internet connection with your computer by turning on the what feature?
Some of it's called Hotspot, and others it's called Tethering.
Hotspot, Tethering, yes.
Okay. You pay for cellular access based on the amount of data you use. How do you keep track of that amount?
There's actually, we didn't cover too much, but there's tools you can install on your computer. There's the gauge on top of the hotspot will tell you how much data you've used and is in your plan.
You can log into your carrier's website, to your account, and check there as well.
And then a lot of the routers actually have little data gauges that'll even tell you which device is using up the data. So if you've got a Wi-Fi Ranger or a Pep Wave, it'll tell you that, it was your Apple TV or your Xbox that burned through all your data last night, and you can know who the guilty party is, or maybe it was your kid's phone. And you could even put them certain plan, things will let you give them an allowance, a data allowance.
Yeah, right. Okay, and true or false, if you buy an antenna to boost the reception of your cell phone, that will also help your computer connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot.
Nope, cellular and Wi-Fi are different.
There's
And it has to do with frequencies.
Yep.
Yes, they are different, and they are optimized for each of the different wireless.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a booster, make sure you understand whether you're looking for cellular booster or Wi-Fi booster. They are different.
Yeah, and even the antennas for the new frequencies are different.
You're right.
I know a lot of people that wanted to use their old trucker antennas for cellular, and it actually gives them a worse signal.
It does. On the new LTE bands, they are worse. They're great for voice and 3G. But when you start getting into the newer LTE bands, you want to make sure you're researching which antennas make the best sense these days.
Okay. And the best place to keep informed of all the various options is at the website.
GeeksOnTour.com?
No. And we will direct you to RV Mobile. We will redirect you.
We welcome you to check out our site. We try to cover everything from the RVer's perspective in particular, but also just any other ways to stay connected. You
can get the book there. You can track. You can sign up for a free newsletter. We'll send you at the end of the month all the summary of the news items that have happened. We have a lot of free guides on there and a lot of stuff in there to just guide you through the basics of mobile internet.
We try to give away a lot, so you don't have to be a member. The members support it for everybody, and we have a lot of member-exclusive stuff, but there's a lot of great free stuff there on the site as well.
Yes, you do.
Absolutely. And you can get a T-shirt there, too.
We are doing a limited run T-shirt right now, mobile and connected.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks so much to Chris and Cherie from RVMobileInternet.com and Technomadia.
Okay.
And we are almost done.
And we are almost done. I'm going to mute you guys so we don't get the noise. And
okay.
But stay on.
Stay on. Don't go away.
We won't go.
Okay. So, Chris, what's the website or the web page that lists all of our weekly shows?
GeeksOnTour.com, and the menu item is Weekly Show.
And the web page that lists all of our recent newsletters.
GeeksOnTour.com. The menu is blogs and articles. Newsletters is under there.
Okay, cool. And what benefits do you get by joining Geeks on Tour?
3 things. Access to all the tutorial videos, and asking questions on our members Q&A forum, and the show notes of these shows. So if you want to review what we covered, I have it all written down as show notes, or I will soon.
Okay. Well, we do invite you to become a member. Just go to our website, geeksontour.com, and click on the link. Next time, well, please, we'll be on episode number 73. Watch for the notification. If you get an email, go ahead and click and let us know that you're coming. And if you have questions, you can leave those in the comments there, and we'll try and get to them live on the show.
Right now, our plan is just to do a miscellaneous smartphone tips grab bag, if you will, unless something else occurs to me between now and then.
That hardly ever happens. Well, Geeks on Tour, technology training, and what does this button do? Thanks for joining us this week. Thanks to Chris and Cherie. I'm Jim.
I'm Chris.
And we are Geeks On.
Keep pressing those buttons.
What does this button do?